So we're doing a trail review today of Talking Rock Nature Preserve. Here's my truck. Here's the donation pipe and the tool stand and bike stand. And then here's the map, which we're going to do John's Trail across the street to start with. It's a good warm up. And it is the green trail because it's more of a beginner trail. And then I'll show you a sign of some of the other trails. But there's about 11 plus miles out here and nothing too hard, but there are different levels, and it does like the other Sorba trails, even though this is not a Sorba trail, where you go on certain days you go clockwise, on other days you go counterclockwise. And today is Monday, so I believe we go to the right. It might be the left. I'll see when I get up here to the sign. It's well marked, but this is the parking lot, and this is Cairns Mill, I believe. Cairns Mill. And we're just going to roll through the beginning, and I'll show you some of the signage. Like here, you can tell today. Oh, actually, I was wrong. It goes to the left today, and it's John's Trail. This is just to show you there's several picnic areas, and also the trail is marked with a green blaze for John's Trail. So here's an intersection with Dragon's Tail that flows downhill on some little jumps, but I'll show you that a little later on after we make another pass through. This is to show you the old trailhead. Now it's called John's Corner. That goes to the maintenance shed. I guess they're out here working on the trails today. And more maps, more benches. We'll be finishing John's Trail. And it talks about John Hudgens, a guy I knew from way back when. His son Ian, I think he still rides. I follow him on Facebook, but I did the part of the Freedom Tour with John way back when, where a bunch of firefighters rode from Atlanta all the way up to Ground Zero in New York City on bicycles. This is show you where the overflow parking lot is, and there's cameras at each parking lot to keep people from messing with the cars. Another map, and this is an intersection where you can do a left to go on the connector trail, but we're actually going to go right. A nice little downhill. Got to watch out for the pine straw. It's pretty bad out here. Every once in a while somebody will come out here and blow it. So a lot of the trails are like this. You know, a few routes, but pretty flowy. Nothing too hard. And you get more longer uphills and downhills on some of the advanced trails, like Pickens and Grennan. But like I said, this is more beginner, I guess intermediate if you want to go faster. And then down here at the bottom is a little dry creek bed. And then it starts climbing. It's probably the biggest climb on this side. Again, nothing too hard. There's a little highlight. I don't know how long it's been out here. This little toy house or hunting blind looks more like a toy house. So in case you need to rent a place. So this is where Dragon's Tail comes back in, and we'll do that near the end of the trail ride. but it just cuts from one part of John's Trail to the middle of the other side. This is where the nature trail crosses John's Trail. It goes up to, there used to be beehives up there. I don't know if there still are. But all along the property, there's bird watching blinds, these wooden platforms so you can get up and hide behind and watch birds. Because this is a nature preserve. It's mostly used by bikers first, then hikers and some joggers and dog walkers. But there are a couple places where it is a hiking trail only, foot traffic only. Here's another way to get up to the apiary. I guess that's the bird watching. I don't know what that stands for. And then here's the John's Trail, which we're almost to the end, or back to the intersection. And again, you see the signs. The hub is the main intersection over here at the parking lot. And we're gonna go across the gravel road and take the connector trail. There's hikers out here, I see. There's some connector trails like this that are two-way, but most of the trails are directional, depending on what day it is. Like today, everything goes to the left or clockwise for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you go to the right, counterclockwise. So here's the hub. This is where my picnic table is, because I was one of the first sponsors. I don't know if you can see my name there, but Kevin Crow and Crow Consulting. And now we're at the hub is mainly this area and that picnic table up top. And there's the parking lot with the Porta John. And here we're going to do Nitro South to the right. I mean, to the right of the sign, but then when we get there, we're going to go clockwise. And it's like 1.25 miles, whereas what we did, the John's Trail, is 1.75 miles, and including the little connector. So, I'm sorry, 2.75 miles. So right now I'm showing us at almost 3 miles, especially once we do the Nitro South. We'll be at, should be around just over 4 miles. And then Nitro North will be 1 mile. And everything is well marked on the sign. So now we're going to do Nitro Next South. And this is just to show you the fun downhill in the beginning. I'm trying to only show highlights so the video's not too long. Doing trail reviews are kind of hard when there's a lot of trail. I mean, still out here there's only 11 miles, so that's not bad. This is a fun downhill. Nothing too scary. And there's coming back on the other side, there's like a board ramp that you go up on. Watch out for hikers. They're supposed to hike in the opposite direction of bikers, but you'll come around some of these blind curves and scare them. Now we're going to start transitioning back uphill. So we're still on Nitro South. Just want to show you the blue blazes for it where John's Trail were green. Here's another sign, another bench. This is an intersection with the Twister Trail, which is a connector trail that takes you, see what color is it on here. It is dotted green, and it connects you from the black Nitro South, and it shows you are here on the sign. So the signs are excellent. They show you the mileage, they're color coded, but today being Monday, we're going to come back up Twister. And there's a sign that shows you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you go down Twister. And straight ahead is that, it says caution two-way. That's just a little connector trail that right over the hill there is the gravel road. But we're going to continue on out Nitro South straight ahead. I don't know if you can see over there in the distance is the parking lot where I parked. But we just go back and forth around this power line, and we're still in Nitro North. Right there on the hill is we come real close to the gravel road again. So you're never too far from road access if you have to pop out, like you have mechanical or somebody gets hurt. There's a lot of emergency access trails that you're not supposed to ride on, but for emergency reasons, if they have to come get you out, evacuate you, it's good to have those, and for trail maintenance as well. So here's the boardwalk, I don't know what you call it, it's a ramp that you go up on. It's pretty cool. So now we're finishing up Nitro South, gonna cross over and do Nitro North now that we're back at the hub trailhead. Just want to show you the ride down from the parking lot back to the hub trailhead, and we just did Nitro South. Now we're going to do Nitro next North. There's big signs, there's little signs like this. It shows you more difficult in blue, green's easy. This first part is a two-way trail. And again, this is blazed, the Nitros South and North are blazed blue. There's little painted markings on the tree. Help you confirm that you're on the right trail. This is a fun little downhill. Once again, nothing long or technical. But if you're going to do all the climbing, which most of Nitro North is climbing, once we get down to the bottom, it's about a mile-long climb, or yeah, and it's not terribly hard. It is mostly climbing. So I like to enjoy the downhill when I can. Here's one of the blinds up here to the left. You see the little trail marking, and it's up there. Oh, rider's up. This is where you split off from the connector that goes over to Pickens, and then we're going to go Nitro North, which again, it being Monday, we're going clockwise. They must have come from Pickens, I hope. Sometimes people can't figure out the signs out here, but it's not too difficult. They're marked at every intersection. And a lot of the intersections have maps as well as the signs on which way to go on which days. There's occasionally an armored trail section like that, but most people have taken the alternate just to go around it, and that's an emergency access road. And now we're back to climbing on Nitro North. I don't consider this too technical, but for some, it's just starting riding and going uphill. Just going through this little rock area can be intimidating, but it's a clear line going through it. There's more of a rock garden on Pickens, but either way you're going down or up it, it's not bad either. There's a clear line through it, And you can always walk if it looks too intimidating. You don't want to go down out here. We're at the end of Nitro North. There's a little two-way connector trail that just goes over to the gravel road. And we're going this way over to the sign and bench. And this is where, if you go right on Pickens, that's mostly downhill. You go up and down. And for some reason, Pickens, the whole thing, you can go two-way. And it's 1.75 miles. But we're going to go on Grinning, which is more fun, and it's directional. It's a more flowy downhill. And it's 1.6 miles. And instead of taking the connector trail where Pickens and Grinning come back together, taking that connector trail back over to Nitro North, we're going to go left onto Twister and go climb that. It goes up and down, but it's mostly climbing in that direction. And that'll tie us into Nitro South. And we're going to take the connector trail back over to gravel road, come up the gravel road and go on another connector trail. So you don't have to remember all this. Just know that there's maps everywhere. The trails aren't that long, so even if you make a wrong turn, you can't go too far before you get back on track. Okay, we're going to do Grinning, and we'll record the first part of it because it's a fun little flowy downhill. There's a hole down here, a sinkhole, you got to watch out for. It's on the right side of the trail as you're, and it's in the top of the turn right here. There's actually holes on both sides. Go up on the bank there, slow me down. Short, steep section. Once you get up on top, then you'll go down again. And that's what I'm waiting on. Here we go. So, a lot of these rolling trails, like this one, if you keep your momentum, you'll be able to coast up most of the uphill on the little short, steep uphills, and you don't really have to pedal much, and you can keep your speed going like we just did there. So now we'll just get back up here and we'll go down a little bit again. It just rolls up and down. So there's a lot of old logging roads out here. We're up on the ridge on Grinning, and it's pink blazed, and off to the left, you probably won't be able to hear it, but I can, is the Highway 515 4-lane. But here, up high, although there's a lot of trees, the leaves are mostly down, and you can see the ridge in the distance. Just kind of give you an idea how high we are. I'm guessing 1,200 feet elevation. Now we're going to go down for a little bit, and there is a little tricky switchback coming up that I'll definitely point out. But this is a fun one. They're just, none of them are that long though. Slide through the corner there. You're not supposed to slide, but I had to correct my trajectory Whoa, leaves are a little slick. And still headed down. Bumpy. Okay. I'll cut it off once we go uphill. There's a lot of these little dry creek bed crossings that they stack rocks to help go through, but you can roll right over them. And we're coming back up on top, and we're going to drop down again, and I'll show you the tricky, it's a tight turn. It goes real slow. You can make it. So this is a tricky little switchback up here. It's really hard coming the other way and climbing it, but I always stay wide and then cut deep, and that's it. And then you finish out down here. You can see the other trail down there. It's not where we're going right now, but we'll come back up through there at some point. I think that's Grinning. No, Pickens. We're on Grinning. Another fun downhill on Grinning, which is why they call it Grinning. Seems like you go downhill more than you do uphill. And I didn't even start recording at the beginning of the downhill. There's a whole nother switchback. This is going to take us over to Twister. And then we'll shoot off that way. We'll come back and do the connector trail up here when we come down Pickens. So here's the intersection with Pickens. You see the sign in the distance. Well, there's like 3 of them. And it is a two-way trail. But we're going to go down on Twister, and you see it's directional. We're going this Monday, we're going this way, and mostly climbing. And then, of course, another map over there. And we just came down Grinning, which is pink blazed, and looks like Pickens is white blaze, and Twister is orange blaze. You see it on the tree down there. So we're going to take the Twister trail. We just finished Grinning, and there's where Pickens goes up. We'll do that a little later. Well, actually, we'll probably go up the road and come down Pickens. And then there's another Pickens sign right there. That's the connector trail that takes you over to Nitro North, which will take you back up to the Hub trailhead. So if you remember all that, here, let's go down Twister. And it's a fun little start, but then you have to climb. But in the beginning, there's these two little berms. Some people like to take it speed, wee, and then wee. Now we're at the top of the Twister climb, and we're going to do the downhill all the way to where we cross the bridge over the creek. And I believe that's Talking Rock Creek. Says a caution sign for a 3-foot drop down here, but you can just roll right off of it. It's worn down over time, and it's not a true drop. Gotta watch these pine straw, the pine straw and the leaves. Pretty slippery. See, there's the sign, the warning sign. And you can go around it right there, but here's the drop. It doesn't drop. Just a little hump. Here's a little creek crossing, not the big one. That's up here where they built the wooden bridge. Get my speed back up again. There's another emergency access up here. Look at the ferns. That's pretty cool. Yeah, right there. And you can see the creek off to the right there. More ferns. I just think the greenery looks a lot better than just pine straw. And there's the creek. There's back to the road, and that's back up the trail. Now we gotta climb. So now we're coming to the end of the climb, second climb on Twister, and it runs us back into Nitro South, which we've already done. So we're gonna just take the connector, Warner Mini, over to the gravel road, cross it, and take that connector back up to John's Trail. But we're gonna go through the overflow parking lot and connect back over to the old trailhead, John's Corner, and then we'll go down the Dragon's Tail and film that. That's the little bit of enduro jump line. The intersection, we're getting off the connector from over there at Twister, and it was yellow blazed, by the way. And now we came through here earlier on John's Trail, but we're going to cut through the overflow trail to get to the back to the road, and then we're going to go up to John's Corner and do the Dragon's Tail enduro line. It's no major jumps, but there are some jumps. So I guess somebody's doing trail maintenance. That's one of the access gates. We're back at John's Corner. It's a neat bike rack. And normally this gate is closed and you just go right there on the bank to the right to get around it. And we just take this up to the downhill. So here's the maintenance Connex box. And I think they cleaned this up, but this used to be a little berm section. I don't know what they did here, but it's going to be a little mini pump track. Yeah, maybe they're bringing it back. So here's John's Trail that we're crossing, and we'll start Dragon Tail. Whee! You can just roll off of. That one a little steeper. This is the jump, and that's it. You can take a ride up here at the double track and climb back up to John's Trail that way, but since the trail goes counterclockwise, we're gonna go straight here and take this new connector trail, which is not well built. It just looked like a last minute add-on to get you back over to the lower part of John's Trail, and we'll just go out that way. And here we are at John's Trail again, and there's directional signs tell you which way to go, so we're going to continue on out clockwise. Now we're going to go across the street from the parking lot and do Charlie's Loop. And there's the sign. And it's marked with red blazes. And we'll record the downhill section. Well, that flows up and down a little bit. But it's cool to see the rock bridge, or the rock crossing at the creek. And today is to the left. So I'll probably have to come out here and make a whole nother video for the trails in the opposite days, counterclockwise. Because the beauty of doing it like that Sorba started years ago, actually decades ago, is you get basically 2-for-1 trails, because if they're built right, they'll be pretty cool in either direction, but they are totally different. I do have my favorites, like as far as directions for certain trails, but either way, I like to have more options, more trail to ride, so that's always a good thing. And like this way, the downhill is longer because it kind of flows up and down, and you kind of go into speed across the rock crossing, and it helps you get up the other side a little bit. But the other side is a pretty steep climb, but it's not long at all. Oop. Yeah, watch out for the pine straw. A lot of little fun switchbacks. Just gotta watch your speed. And now we're coming up on the crossing. They did a pretty good job finding big old flat rocks. And now we start to climb. Now we're coming to the end of Charlie's Loop, and back where the parking lot is. But we're going to go left and go up the gravel road to show you the upper trailhead. Like some hikers park there, but most of your bikers park here at the hub. And of course there's our pavilion. Catches rainwater, I don't know what they do with it. And a bike rack that I didn't know was there. But we go up here, this road turns into Old Whitestone, I think, and you turn right on it. But we're going to take the gravel up to the top of Pickens so we can come down it and take the connector trail back over to Nitro North and back to the parking lot, and that will probably be it. I think that's all of them. So now we're at the top trailhead. Like I said, some people park up here, mostly hikers, and there's another sign. The highway is right up there. And this one is blue blazed, but I think once we connect short distance up here to the Pickens and Grinning intersection and we go down Pickens, Pickens is white blazed. And that's where we came up Nitro North. And then there's somebody on an electric wheel thing that you're not supposed to have out here, but I'm not going to say anything. Another sign, bench, and we start the downhill. And like I said, this is two-way, so you got to watch out going around the blind curve. go down again up here. This is a fun, pretty smooth section. And we do have a rock garden up here, and I'll show you that when we get to it and how to go through it. See, if you keep your speed, you just roll through all this. Like I said, we're coming up on the rock garden. So I just like to stay high here. And of course I messed up a little bit there, but you can see the line through here. Path of least resistance, usually the easiest and quickest. Same for this. So it used to be a lot harder, but then you start flowing again. Down to our right is another one of those bird watching blinds. Still rolling. I think it'll give out over here in a little bit. But this is why this is my favorite trail out here, because of the longer flow trail and kind of fast downhill. Nothing too bad. It's what I call Clydesdale friendly as far as the climbing. Clydesdales are anybody over 200 pounds, and that would be me. I'm 210. Actually, today I was like 212 something. All this holiday cooking. Another downhill. Still on Pickens. I thought there used to be a bench there, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, this is a fun, flowy one. And once you know it, you know how to take some of these curves. Like up here, it's really tight. You have to really slow up and roll out of it. Work our way down here to the bottom. Nice and flowy. Got a little rocky creek crossing up here, but pretty dry. Okay. Still. Yeah, there's down below us is the wooden bridge we're working our way back around to. But we still have a ways to go in Pickens. But that is the connector trail, also called Pickens. So, last downhill on Pickens. I just want to show you this sharp turn. This is one or two out here. You just slow up and roll through it. That one's not as bad as the other one on Grinning. Here's another sharp one up here. Like I said, you can either slide through it or just take your time. We're back to the intersection with Grinning and Twister, but we're going to take the connector trail back to the hub and show you one of my favorite little things out here. I forgot his name. It's a little gnome on the trail side, and especially in the holidays, I usually put a little Christmas tree out here. We're going to cross over this emergency access road, and I think it's right up here on the right. He's tucked back in a little corner, or a little cove. little rock outing. Where you at, fella? There he is. Oh, Louie, that's his name. There's Louie. And no Christmas tree this year. I don't know where it's at. Here's one of two bridges on Pickens. Well, Pickens Connector. And then, like I said before, it's going to take us up to Nitro North, which will take the two-way section of Nitro North back up to the hub trailhead, and we'll be done. And well, because I went up the gravel road to get to the top of Pickens, we're going to end up with almost 13 miles, 12 and a half, 13 miles. Here's the second wooden bridge. And just around the corner is going to be Nitro North. There we go. That's where we broke off earlier to start climbing. Another trail sign, map, and letting you know you're on the blue Nitro North two-way connector trail. Now we're coming back up to the hub at the end of Nitro North Connector after doing Pickens downhill, and go back up to the parking lot where we'll end this ride and show you another picture of the trail map, and I'll show you my numbers for the day. There's that, and here are my numbers for today. There you go, you can see it better.